Welcome to MMA Dogs. My name is Hector, and I want to thank you for tuning in, for joining me here to talk about UFC 184. And I'm very excited for this card, for this event. And just to touch on last week, uh, best night ever. I ended up plus 16.90 units. So up over 16 units. It was awesome. Heading into the Johnson, Alvey, and Mir fights, or the Alvey, Johnson, Mir. Wow, I was thinking to myself, you've got to be kidding me. All these underdogs have come through, and now, it's pretty much going to be a clean sweep, other than the first fight of the night. Thinking to myself, oh, please, good God, let this continue. And it was interesting because by that point, everybody watching, it was no mystery or no mystical thing that all the underdogs were winning, which kind of took away a little bit of my thunder, so to speak, because I was very I was confident. I was confident that Johnson, Alvey, and Mir were going to win. But now it's like, wow, it's just another one of the underdogs. But anyways, regardless of that, it was a great night. I'm very, very happy with it. And I'm looking forward to repeating those type of nights more often than not. And I was looking at UFC 182. 9.81 units, and then UFC Fight Night 61, 16.90 units. So very cool, very good stuff. And I hope tomorrow night is going to be the same. So let's go ahead and jump into it. So let's see. We have Macio Fulen, El Lobo Macio Fulen versus Alexander Rolo Torres. And we have Macio both these guys coming off of the Ultimate Fighter, tough Latin America. Macio, in my opinion, he's more well-rounded. He has the better striking. He's going to have the better striking for sure. And he's been training here in San Diego at Alliance, training his takedown defense. He's going to want to keep it standing for this particular fight. Now, usually, if there's a fighter who has better grappling, especially better wrestling, and they are both up-and-comers or, kind of new to the UFC or prospects, I'll side, not all the time, but I would say most of the time with the grappler-wrestler. But in this case, I think that Torres has a wider gap to bridge. And I think Macio's a bit more developed at this stage. So I'm going to go with Macio Fulen for the pick. And I will say by decision. But if I had to bet this fight, it's going to be a do not bet. It's a do not bet. But if I had to bet it, my money would be on Macio. And I believe right now he's about minus 150. Last time I looked. Yep, minus 150. Minus 149. So yeah, I would say Macio, slightest edge, which then would make me wonder, well, maybe Torres, put a little something on Torres, but I just don't have faith that Torres will actually win. So I will go with Macio by decision. Do not bet. If I had to bet it, it would be on Macio, but I'm not betting it. So let's go on to the next fight. We have a very, very peculiar matchup. I guess the word would be peculiar. Not interesting, more peculiar matchup. We got James Krause, a guy who has talent, but doesn't always perform, doesn't always carry out with all that talent that he has. He's got talent on his feet, talent on the ground, especially on the ground with his submissions and the way he is relentless with them. And then we got Bidu Valimir Lazaro. So the James Krause versus Bidu Lazaro. And Lazaro, wow, what a mess of a debut he had. I mean, he fought James Vick, and he just looked like a like a street fighter, like a guy with minimal training, minimal skill. Uh, he looked like a complete amateur. Um, Totally different than he had looked on the regional circuit. But then again, on the regional circuit, he was fighting a bunch of bums. So it's no mistake that he performed. But man, he looked bad. Just swinging all over the place, wild and getting caught, and just terrible. And hard to watch that fight more than once, really. And then we got James Krause, a guy who is coming off a loss to Jorge Masvidal, and I was as I watched that fight, I thought to myself, man, James Krause is good, but Masvidal is just on another level. I don't think Krause will ever get to that level, but I believe in this particular matchup, Krause is a notch above Lazaro. Even if Lazaro wants to take it to the ground, Krause can land a submission. If they want to keep it standing, I think that Krause, if Krause wants to keep it standing, it will be because he's having success, and if he takes it to the ground, he can look for the submission. So I think Krause has more ways to win here, and I think he will win. So I have Krause winning by submission. I believe it will be round 2, possibly round 3. Round 2 or round 3, and with this one, the odds are interesting with this one. I was watching the line movement on this one, and you can get Krause at -170, and he should drop, but then again, the line has been up and down, money coming in both ways. So I think let me see here, pull this back up. I believe Krause will definitely win this fight, and I'm not going to let him make or break the night just because of his inconsistency. But I definitely think he will win, and he will definitely be a betting pick, and I am definitely going to be betting him, and he will be a 3-star pick. So James Krause by submission, I'll say round 2, and let's go ahead and move on. Derrick Lewis versus Ruan Potts. Now this is an interesting fight because you gotta believe Ruan Potts is gonna go in there and just lay it all on the line. I mean, this poor guy, he really needs a win here. If he doesn't win, he's gonna get cut. And with Derrick Lewis, we have a guy who hasn't proven much. He really hasn't. He's 30 years old, and he's minus 500 right now, minus 525, minus 550, minus 500. There's no way that I'm paying that type of price on a heavyweight that hasn't proven anything. So do not bet. Total do not bet. And then I'm taking a look at the dog here, and it's like, well, there might be a big price and it might be a heavyweight, but it's Ruan Potts, and he's just fought. He hasn't fought well in the UFC. 37 years old. How much really can he offer? So I think that Derrick Lewis will. I mean, I guess if he was able to get a takedown, which I don't think will come easy, able to grab a hold of Lewis's neck or of his arm or some shoulder, some kind of type of submission. But I don't think so. I think ultimately Derrick Lewis will win by knockout in round 1. But I'm not interested in betting this fight at all. If I had to bet it, it would be a prop on Lewis by knockout. But I'm not going to bet this one. I'm just going to completely pass on it and do not bet. Dhiego Lima versus Tim Means. Very interesting matchup here because we have a guy in Means who usually beats guys on Lima's level, and he loses once he steps up in competition. My concern here is that Lima will take down Means and just hold him down and let the clock run down. Let the clock run down a little bit. Looking at the clock like Derek Brunson, let the clock run down a little bit. And then the fight will be over and Lima will squeak out some type of ugly decision. But I don't think Tim Means will allow that to happen. I think Tim Means will make it, like his nickname says, a dirty fight, a dirty bird, and will ultimately pull out the the win. Means is 31 and Lima's 25. I wouldn't be surprised at all if Lima wins. I really wouldn't. The price isn't good enough for me right now to pull any trigger on Lima or Means. So it's going to be a do not bet. But if I had to pick a winner, if I had to pick one guy, it would be Tim Means. If I had to bet it, it would be Tim Means. But I'm not going to put anything on it. I'm not confident in that one at all. So it's a do not bet, and I wouldn't be surprised if Dhiego Lima wins. So totally pass for me on that one. Now this is interesting here. We got Kid Yamamoto against Roman El Gallito Salazar. So this line is crazy. This line was crazy. This line opened up at, let me take a quick look here. I think Roman was nearly plus, yeah. It opened up at plus 167. It got up to as high as plus 290. Plus 290. And at that point, if the line was plus 290, you got to take a stab at Salazar because Yamamoto hasn't fought in 3 years. Now, in Yamamoto's defense, he has fought good guys, some underrated guys. He's got very good wrestling, good striking, of course, but just 37, old. The UFC is giving him Salazar. If he can't beat Salazar, he's done. You know, if he can beat him, then he'll get maybe one or two more fights. Hopefully for Yamamoto in Japan. And I think that's what he's going for. I don't think the UFC has any reason to want anything to gain from Salazar winning this fight. So I think that Joe Silva and Sean Shelby, probably 135. So I think Sean Shelby thinks that Yamamoto can pull off the win here, probably by knockout, maybe by decision if he decides to use his wrestling, which he hasn't really used in a while other than defensively. So nope, don't want to lose my little extra inspiration here. We got the Bellagio and the Cosmo behind me. So let's see. So yeah, Yamamoto should be able to keep it on the feet, and on the feet he should be able to outstrike him. Now with Roman, I do like some of the things I've seen from him, but I think this will be too high of a step up. He has a little bit of that. He trains with Frankie Saenz, so he has a little bit of that movement like Cain Velasquez and Kelvin Gastelum type of. It reminds me of when I watch him fight. The type of movement. Obviously, he's not that type of fighter, but he's that type of movement. So Salazar plus 290, I liked it. Plus 270, but now at plus 150, whatever it is, I don't like that one bit. So it's going to be a total pass. Do not bet. For the value, of course, it was at, like I said, at plus 290, plus 275. That's crazy, but with Yamamoto being out as long as he's been out. But at this point, do not bet. Just a pass on it, and not interested in betting this one at all. If I had to bet it, man, at this price, let's see what is Kid at right now. Minus 175. Wow. At this price, I have to say, do not bet. Who knows what Yamamoto is going to show up. Watching him fight, when he fought Von Lee, 3 years ago, he didn't look that bad. Against Darren, didn't look that bad. Against Demetrius Johnson, well, of course, he looked bad. That's a champ. But if the guy who fought Von Lee shows up, or Darren, he should win. He really should win this fight. But who knows? There's too many question marks with this one. So do not bet. I'm not interested in it. Do not bet. Too risky here. Now I feel like I keep saying this about every single fight, but they're interesting because the dog could possibly bark, could possibly bite, so it's interesting. Mark Munoz versus Roan Carneiro. Mark Munoz is a mystery. I mean, this guy, him and Ellenberger. I have my fireplace going here. The log. Him and Ellenberger. I don't think their head is in it anymore. I really don't. I don't believe that they're all there, all focused, and I can't trust my money on them, especially as favorites. No way. So, Mark Munoz, what can we say about him? In his fight against Gegard and Mousasi was just all over him. I mean, just Munoz couldn't shake him. All over him. You, even on the ground, all over him, which is it's got to be depressing for Munoz. Got to be depressing for anybody wanting to back Munoz here. And then against Lyoto Machida, of course, that's Lyoto. He just looked just completely dead there. Last time he looked good was against Tim Boetsch, and that was over a year ago. And the Mark Munoz that stepped on the scale today is not the same Mark Munoz that stepped on the scale a year ago. He really isn't. And I have zero faith that he'll win this fight. He should win it, but I have zero faith that he will. So then I take a look at the dog, and this is a good price. You know, we got Roan Carneiro at plus 240, plus 250, plus 245. So there is, if you like value, there is definitely value on that. And Carneiro coming off a very impressive run, winning three fights in one night, and you know, he's not some world beater. He's not some contender or anything like that, but he's going to come in at a real comfortable 185, 186, not having to have a bad weight cut, getting another chance here, more mature, more prepared, and what was I going to say? Oh, and just with the ability to create a scramble on the ground if Munoz decides to take it down, which I'm sure he will at one point, especially if Carneiro clips him on the feet, and his ability to submit him. So I like Carneiro here to win by submission. I say Mark Munoz goes in there asleep and goes to sleep in round one via submission. So Carneiro by submission. Now, one thing I want to touch on, I haven't had a chance to, my confidence level on these underdogs for tomorrow night, tonight, isn't as high as it was last week. It's not like how I felt about Sam Alvey or Frank Mir or Renault. It's a little bit less. I don't want to go anything less than a unit, so I'm definitely going to be putting a unit on Carneiro. And I think there is a chance he wins. I think there is a chance he wins inside the distance. And so definitely going to put just a unit on him. And I think there's a good chance it might cash. So I like that one. So let's move along to the next one. Tony Ferguson versus Gleison Tibau. Now, if you take a look at Tibau and you watch his fights and you look at his record, it's rare for him to rattle off more than 3 wins, let alone 4 wins, because every time he steps up in competition or steps up against a prospect, that prospect puts him down. And so we know what we're going to get out of Tibau. I don't want to sound like a broken record about him. I've already talked about him in the past. He's just very strong, very powerful guy. He'll slow down in the second round about midway, maybe with 2 minutes left in the second round, and then he'll lose the third round. Usually, not all the time, but usually. And with Tony Ferguson, you know, you got an up-and-coming prospect, an up-and-coming guy who trains with Eddie Bravo, and he trains his boxing. I mean, he's just a very good guy. What concerns me about him is when he gets on his back. You know, if you watch a fight with Danny Castillo, that was a very, very close fight. On the feet, I don't think Ferguson has anything to worry about. Not a whole lot to worry about. On the ground, he needs to worry about not being controlled on the bottom and staying there. But I believe that him and Eddie Bravo have been working on ways to get up and create scrambles and create submissions. So I think he'll be able to do that. So I think in round 3, when Tibau slows down, Ferguson will be able to lock in a submission and win this fight. The price is steep, so I got to parlay him. I'm going to parlay him minus 240, minus 250-ish. So I'm going to put him in a parlay. He'll be a 3-star pick, and I think he should win this fight. If he doesn't, man, what a foobar by him. So, but I like Tony. I think he'll get a submission, possibly even a knockout. You know, Gleison has been knocked out. Gleison's a little slow on the feet, on the reaction timing. So maybe, I should say, I think that Ferguson will dot him up, will punch him, and then when Tibau's on a street he doesn't know the name of, Ferguson will then sink in the choke. So that does it for that one. Let's move along here. Oh, that was the first fight on the pay-per-view. Second fight on the pay-per-view. This is an excellent fight, and I'm a little bit pissed off now because not too pissed off, just a little bit pissed off because I was hoping that this would fly under the radar. I was hoping that Walsh would reach a ridiculous plus 400, but somebody, somewhere, or a couple people, or a group of people, damn it, they saw the same thing. And Richard Walsh against Jouban. Richard Walsh is a guy that I am familiar with. I bet him when he fought Kichi Kunimoto, and I thought I had won that fight. I thought Richard Walsh had won the fight, but the judges decided he hadn't won the fight. I was pretty upset about that. That's why I always say you never want to bet more than you can afford to lose, so you don't get over the top, crazy, wild, upset, and or be a crybaby about things. But Richard Walsh, on the feet, solid guy. He's got a good chin. Takedown defense is good. Power is good. Movement is good. Just a very underrated fighter. Only 26 years old. And I really like Richard Walsh. And of course, it's all about the matchup. I mean, if we matched him up against, I don't know, let's say Robbie Lawler, things might be a different story. But against Jouban, a guy in Jouban who gets hit a lot. He gets hit a ton. He's got a good chin. But he gets hit a lot. And this will be the battle of the chins here. And I think the power that Walsh brings is underrated. And make no mistake about it, this Jouban is a good fighter, and he's got, like I said, a great chin. But I believe that with Walsh having the age, being only 26 and Jouban being 33, Jouban got hit heavy in his last fight against Alves. He got hit even heavy by Seth Bashinsky when he made his UFC debut. And then if you watch his RFA fights and his local or regional circuit fights, you can see it. He gets hit, and I think Walsh will connect with punches and knock him out. I think it'll be round one, and I'm excited for this fight. Now, the reason I'm a little bit upset is because the line climbed up to as high as, was it plus 365? My goodness, plus 365, and now it's down to the Greek has it plus 300, plus 280, plus, let's see, plus 277, plus 270. So I think that's where it should stay, unless things change. But that's where I'm gonna lock it up at. So Richard Walsh by knockout in round one. Now, like I said, this one is out of the DAWGS is the one I'm most confident in. But I'm going to just put one unit on it, just one unit, and just the way I've settled the bets in this week, just a unit. I don't want to go too crazy, and I don't want to go too wild. So one unit on Walsh. I think he'll win by knockout in round one, if not round two. And I don't think this fight will go the distance. Josh Koscheck versus Jake Ellenberger, the third fight in the pay-per-view. And these poor guys, Gastelum, Lawler, McDonald for Ellenberger, Woodley, Lawler, and Hendricks for Koscheck. And with Ellenberger is 29 years old. Koscheck is 37. But I don't know how much Ellenberger's head is in the game anymore. I really don't. I mean, if you think about it, if you watch him fight, this guy just does not. He needs to wake up. Much like Mark Munoz, he needs to wake up. Just wake these guys up. And I'm not counting on them waking up. I don't think they're gonna wake up. And I think they go in there and just kind of look blah and just kind of with Josh Koscheck, we have a guy who has a lot of um, things going for him physically. Physically, this guy is just a specimen. I mean, he has he has experience. He's a tough guy. I know he's been knocked out, but he was knocked out by two of the strongest hitters in the welterweight division, and Lawler and Woodley. I mean, these guys are just power, and Koscheck took some serious shots. Jake Ellenberger, if he goes out there and just goes out there on a mission to knock him out, could possibly do it. I haven't seen that Ellenberger in a while. He hesitates and he holds back and just, I don't know what his problem is, but I'm not counting on him fixing that problem. So I'm going with Koscheck 1 unit by decision. And moving forward, let's just go ahead and call it how it is. You know, I don't see Ellenberger coming over that mental block, and Koscheck sitting at plus 177, 170, 175. I love that all day. So 1 unit though, I'm not going to go crazy with it and start risking all kinds of money on it. Just 1 unit. Holly Holm versus Raquel Pennington. It's obvious what the UFC is trying to do here. And so I went ahead and really investigated these two girls. And Holly Holm does have a ton of skill on the feet. She's excellent. And Pennington, when she's in the clinch and when she's doing these things, she leaves herself exposed. So I could see Holm knocking her out. But ultimately, I think Holm will get a decision. And I think it'll be, people are saying that Raquel Pennington will be Holm's toughest test to date, but I don't think that Holm will have any trouble passing that test. I really don't. I'm not going to go crazy on Holm. You know, I'm not going to go wild and, I'm going to put her in all kinds of parlays and bet the farm on her and anything. I'm going to risk, let's see, how much did I put down here? 2.18 units on Holm in a parlay, in two different parlays. And that'll be it. You know, I'm risking a unit on the DAWGS, and then on her, I'm gonna put her in two parlays. So hey, I want my background here. There we go. A little Bellagio Cosmo action here to for some added inspiration. And so yeah, so Holm by decision. If I had to bet it, I am. And the pick is Holm, and that'll be that. Ronda Rousey versus Cat Zingano. Wow. I'll tell you what I see, and it's no mystery. If you did your tape study, you'll see it too. But if not, I'm here to tell you. Cat Zingano, super slow starter. Very slow starter. And Ronda Rousey is probably the best starter in all of MMA. She goes out there like gangbusters. I mean, just goes out there like a ghostbuster, just ready to fight these girls. And man, she has just looked. She has left me no reason to believe that she won't win this fight. Actually, there's one thing that bothers me, but I think she won't have this problem in this fight. And that was the fight she had about a year ago with Miesha Tate, where on the feet, Miesha Tate was hitting her, was connecting. I don't know if I'd say lighting her up, but she was definitely dotting her up. And I'm thinking to myself, what the hell? Why does Miesha Tate want to take this to the ground? There were a couple of takedowns Miesha Tate had where I'm thinking, what the hell are you doing? You're hitting her on the feet. So that's a concern, but not enough to make me think, man, Cat Zingano's going to win this fight. I do like Cat. You know, she's got a great story. But ultimately, we can't bet on the people we like. You know, we got to bet on the people who are going to win and the value and all that good stuff. So, Ronda Rousey by submission in round 1. I don't believe it'll hit round 2. But Cat is tough, so it wouldn't surprise me if it did. I'm so impressed with the way Ronda Rousey starts her fights. As much as I'd love to say I'm gonna put a unit on Cat, I'm not going to, and hopefully that doesn't come back to bite me in the butt. But Ronda Rousey by submission. I'll put her in the same parlays as Holly Holm. And for the over-under, man, I'm torn on that one. I could see Ronda going in there and doing her thing and Kat starting out how she does. But I can also see Kat being more prepared, looking better than ever, and just surprising a lot of folks who are counting her out. So I'm not going to completely count out Kat. A couple units on Ronda, that's it. And that sums it all up. So let's go ahead and get over to my bets here. MMA Dogs, UFC 184. 5-star picks. There are none, unfortunately. Always looking for the 5 stars, but there aren't any. 4 stars, Ronda Rousey is the first 4-star. Holly Holm is the second 4-star. It's obvious what the UFC is doing here, and with Cristiane Santos possibly never making the jump over the UFC, they need somebody, and Holly Holm is a good story, a good sell. The easiest one to sell, at this point at the women's division here, bantamweight. And 3 stars, Tony Ferguson, James Krause, Richard Walsh, Josh Koscheck, and Roan Carneiro. So that's what? 2 4-stars and 5 3-stars. Wow, 7. Okay. So the bets, 1 unit on Richard Walsh at plus 300, 1 unit to win 3 units. Second bet, Roan Carneiro at plus 250, 1 unit to win 2.5 units. Josh Koscheck, 1 unit to win 1.77 units, plus 177. So those are the 3 underdogs, 3 bets there, and a couple of favorite bets here. James Krause at minus 170, Holly Holm at minus 700, and Ronda Rousey at minus 705. Tired. At plus 107, 1 unit to win 107. So we move on to the last bet, or the last major bet, I should say. Tony Ferguson at minus 240, and Holly Holm at minus 700, and Ronda Rousey at minus 705 equals minus 118, 1.18 units to win 1 unit. And then I'm going to have some fun here with the round robin parlays of 2. So there's 4 selections. So it's going to be 6 parlays at 0.04 units each. So small, but a bet nonetheless. Total bet is 0.24 units to win 2.24 units. So 6 parlays, a round robin of 2s at 0.04 units each. Rousey wins by submission at minus 195. Tony Ferguson wins inside the distance at plus 175. Koscheck at plus 177. And Richard Walsh wins inside the distance at plus 555. For the second round robin, or the second, so that's the first selections. The second selections, round robin of 2, 6 parlays at 0.04 units each. Total bet is 0.24 units to win 3.81. James Krause wins inside the distance at plus 177. Richard Walsh at plus 300. Ronda Rousey wins by knockout TKO at plus 409. And Roan Carneiro wins inside the distance at plus 370. That is 0.24 units to win 3.81. So the grand total of the night is 5.66 units to win 13.06 units, up to as high as 14.66, just depending on if Ronda Rousey wins and by what method. So grand total 5.66 units to win 13.06 to 14.66 units. So that wraps up UFC 184. And I want to thank all of our clients, our family, our friends, all of our supporters. And I am looking forward to having another great winning night. Last week was such a great feeling, and very much like when Felder and Garbrandt, and I think I had one more dog that night when John Jones beat Cormier. Such a great feeling, and I want to continue with that. I want to continue sharing it. We make the picks very affordable, $20, very, very affordable. And God willing, doesn't take much to win. So, however many dollars you want to spend, you want to use per unit, you can definitely win and definitely have a great time with it. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm very, very excited for what the future holds, and very excited to take the test because the homework is done, and now it is time to put it all out there. So here we go, baby. Here we go. I hope you guys have a great weekend, and I will talk to you guys real soon.